Sports.
What is Pop Siouxland? Happy Sunday and welcome to sports. The March moments have already begun in college basketball conference tournaments, but the madness is knocking on the door with the tournament selection show only a few hours away. The men's and women's teams from each Iowa, Iowa State, and Nebraska all look to make a splash in this year's NCAA tournament. However, even though all 6 squads were knocked out of their respective conference tournaments, their minds and efforts are now laser focused on the games ahead.
Get back to Iowa City and learn from it, practice hard for however long it is until we leave and find our matchup. And it's actually win or go home now, so backs against the wall, we gotta get going.
I feel like we can hold the trophy at the end, and I feel the same about the team that we just played. And I feel like that's why we're confident in where we stand right now. When we playing like this, I feel like we can hang with the best.
6 squads wait with anticipation for tonight's selection shows, announcing who makes the final cut for a chance at a national title. Men's bracket will be announced here shortly, while the women's bracket will be announced at 7 p.m. I'll give you the full fill to later tonight after the Oscars. Good morning, Siouxland. Welcome to sports. It was a big night for college basketball fans as the Final Four NCAA brackets were announced for both men's and women's hoops. Let's get things started in the men's bracket. In the East region, we got the number 12 University of Northern Iowa taking on 5th-seeded St. John's down in San Diego, California on March 20th. Same day, rocking in the Midwest regional bracket down in St. Louis, Missouri, is the number 2-seeded Cyclones facing off against number 15 Tigers of Tennessee State. Down in the southern region, we find number 4 Nebraska taking on number 13 Troy on March 19th in Oklahoma City. Also in the southern region, and rounding off our men's bracket, is the number 9 Iowa Hawkeyes facing the number 8 Clemson Tigers. This game taking place in Tampa, Florida on March 20th. Hawkeye head coach Ben McCollum gave his thoughts at the team's watch party last night.
Yeah, I mean, we're excited to be able to play. You know, obviously we want to play well now. Now you get an opportunity to prepare for another opponent, and I think for our fans, I think Tampa's a great destination. I think for you guys, it's a great destination. Hopefully you guys don't come with too much sunburn to the games, but no, we're excited about the opportunity, and we're going to make the most of it.
Look at that women's bracket before regular tournament play begins. Nebraska will face off against Richmond for the 11 seed on Wednesday, March 18th in Durham, North Carolina. Winner of that game faces number 6 Baylor in Region 2 on Friday. Now, once that decision game is decided, we head into our normal tournament play. In Region 1, we have number 8 Iowa State taking on number 9 Syracuse in Mansfield, Connecticut on March 21st. And then down in Region 4, number 11, South Dakota State faces off with number 6, Washington on Friday, March 20th in Fort Worth, Texas. To round us off here, also in that Region 4, we have the 2nd-seeded Iowa Hawkeyes actually hosting number 15, Fairleigh Dickinson in Carver Hawkeye Arena on Saturday, March 21st. All right, now before we get into our top 5 plays of the week, let me just say that this was by far the toughest week of selecting that I've had to do, so let's get into the action. Like I said, banger of a week, so let's start with number 5. Number 5 takes us to Unity Christian in the IHSAA State Tournament. Keegan Winterfeld with the 3rd quarter buzzer beater to take the lead, ladies and gentlemen. Number 4 belongs to MMCRU Royals with some defense there on the SWAT. Wyatt Alish comes up with the block. Fast break starter. Alish is there to finish with a big bucket. That takes us to number 3 in Dordt for their first round game of the NAIA tournament. This pass intercepted by Gracie Schoenhoven, and she'd go coast to coast herself for the score. Big layup there. Number 2 belongs to Jaden Kuhn on Storm Lake. Give that man some room, and boom, slams it in the semifinal game. But our top play features Northwestern's Jalen Lang Sanity, snatching ankles 1, 2, then shoots an absolute moonball as time expires for 3 points. That does it for our top 5 plays and sports. Y'all have a fantastic day, Siouxland. What is poppin', Siouxland? Welcome back to sports. Big news for Siouxland Christian. After the school announced earlier today, they have appointed a new head football coach to take the reins and build up the program. Meet Adrian Davis, a former Arkansas Razorback who has 5 years of experience of playing professional football between the NFL and Indoor Football League. Davis has also coached in the IFL and a few colleges, including Buena Vista, and most recently served as the defensive line coach at Midland. This marks the beginning of a new era for Siouxland Christian after the partnership with Remsen St. Mary's to join their football program while they laid down the groundwork for their own. College basketball teams everywhere waited in anticipation yesterday as the 2026 NCAA tournament brackets were released. 8 squads from the Siouxland states made the cut. One of those teams is the 9th-seeded Iowa Hawkeyes men's team in the southern region. with their first-round matchup against number 8 Clemson on Friday. Hawkeyes finished 9th in the Big Ten at 21-12, being bounced in the third round of the conference tournament by Ohio State. Now they look to make the most out of the opportunity given to them in the Big Dance.
I think we have a lot of guys who played a lot of minutes in that game, in those 2 games. So we've kind of seen what it takes to win a game in the NCAA tournament, and at the same time, we've seen what gets you beat. So we can take those lessons and grow from them, and prepare the right way and go in with the right mindset, and kind of help everybody who hasn't been to the tournament kind of figure out what the right attitude to have to win a game in the tournament, and just bring that with us.
Now, if the stars align, the Hawkeyes could face a familiar foe in 4th-seeded Nebraska. Huskers first have to get through their first-round matchup with number 13 Troy on Thursday, March 19th. Nebraska finished 2nd in the Big Ten at 26-6, but fell to Purdue in their only appearance in the conference tournament. Now they look to get back to their winning ways against the Trojans.
We got a lot of guys that know what to expect now, that have played in this format. And again, it's all about going out and executing, and trying to go out there and play as mistake-free as you possibly can. And again, when the adversity hits, when a rough patch hits, it's all about handling it the right way. And having guys that have experienced this, with Jamarcus, with Rink, with Kale, with Sam, with Henry, just the guys that were here a couple years ago, that all matters. So it's important for our guys to go out there and set the tone, and again, not let the moment be too big.
That'll do it for sports. We'll be right back after the break. It's Pop Sizzle, happy St. Patty's Day, and welcome to sports. The Iowa Print Sports Writers Association, Iowa Basketball Coaches Association named their players of the year and released their all-state teams, which both featured numerous Siouxland Hoopers. To start, Storm Lake's Jaden Kuhn was named Iowa's Mr. Basketball after his dominant season. The Creighton commit helped his team to a 24-3 record with 463 points, 195 rebounds, 19 blocks, along with 35 steals. On top of all that, he also broke the Tornadoes' all-time scoring record that was held for 56 years. Now over in Orange City, Unity Christian's Dylan Bosma earned himself 2A Player of the Year after helping the Knights to their first state title win since 2005. Bosma dropped 485 points this season, along with 103 assists and 53 steals. Bosma capped off his season, also breaking his school's all-time scoring record that had been held since 1969. We had numerous Siouxland Hoopers make the all-state teams, with 6 making first team of their respective classes. In 1A, we got MMCRU's Camden Bork, who led his team in points, assists, rebounds, and steals. Then in 2A, you have the Player of the Year in Bosma, along with teammate Tice Van Dong, who was second on the team in scoring with 407 points. Also on the squad is Western Christian's Taden Moret, who led his team in points, assists, rebounds, steals, and blocks as well. Then, finally, in 1A, you got Mr. Basketball himself, Jaden Kuhn, and teammate Cam Boyd, who led in scoring with 555 points on the year, joining Storm Lake's 1,000-point club. Full list of Siouxland All-State players will be found on KC9.com. At the collegiate level, the NCAA tournaments are getting ready to kick off, but before we can begin the first round, teams are still fighting for final spots in the bracket. Tomorrow, Nebraska women's team will compete with a 26-7 Richmond squad for the 11th seed and a chance to match up with Baylor in the first round of the tournament. That game will be tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Last but not least, the South Dakota women's team may have not made the big dance, but they were invited to the women's NIT tournament after a 23-9 season that ended in the semifinal round of the Summit League tournament. The Oats received the first round bye and wait to see who their opponent will be. Now for sports.
All right, men's NIT underway too. I was watching a game this afternoon.
Oh, I know.
Don't tell anybody.
All sorts of basketball coming on. We're excited. I'm excited.
All right.
Now, KCAU 9 Sports.
It's Pop Sizzle, and welcome back to sports. It may not look or feel like it outside, but it's time for high school spring sports season to begin. Tonight in Storm Lake, the Lakes Conference held their indoor track meet at Buena Vista University. Quite cold outside, but nice and warm inside. Starting off with some field events in the boys' high jump. Spencer's Tate Von Ewigen took first place with a jump of 6 feet and 4 inches, but it was a tiger sweep in the high jump as Lauren Stuckey took first place with a jump of 5 feet and 4 inches. In the girls' 60 meters hurdles, last year's 2A state champion in the 100-meter hurdles, Spirit Lake's Leah Boloy took first with a time of 9.43 seconds. In the boys' 60-meter hurdles, Spirit Lake's Kyler Hagendorn took first with a time of 9.01 seconds. And in the girls' 60-meter dash, Spirit Lake's Annabelle Sines took first with a time of 8.10 seconds. That's all in for a day's work of track. Now, down in Miami, the 2026 World Baseball Classic just wrapped up between Venezuela and the United States. Venezuela holding a 2-0 lead until the bottom of the 8th when Bryce Harper would tie it up with a 2-run homer. But in the 9th inning, Eugenio Suarez would snag an RBI, and Venezuela would edge out the U.S. 3-2.